Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So, Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. Just be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Alex, you there?
Hello, Charlie. Is that toast? You're just doing that just to wind me up, aren't you?
You've just been out for a fag, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've just driven 6 hours, so I have had a long day. Anyone who's been paying attention will have seen me posting videos from South Kensington Tube Station today and from where I was lost. Anyway, I won't bore you all with that. Good evening, everyone. This is Moving Home with Charlie. I'm Charlie Landon. That is Alex, also known as Housing Stig. Let's just get his beautiful photograph up there for you. There he is.
So not just a grey circle, but also a grey photograph.
I'm sorry I'm eating. I haven't got the microphone on, so you probably can't hear it anyway. And I know it's been a while since we've done one of these, and I was almost going to go and watch telly because I'm absolutely knackered. And then I found out that I've got Daphne, my 1-year-old baby, on my own tomorrow afternoon from 4 o'clock all evening. So I won't be able to do it tomorrow. Hence we're doing it tonight. Who have we got here, everyone? I saw some hellos already. And forgive me eating and drinking and stuff in my face. Kang, Ricky Heath, Popolop. Hi guys, Anthony Thomas, Jonathan Gross. That's a fresh name. Good evening. Tina Fey, Nick Jones. Hi guys. Andrew Taylor, Modi, Lugo99, who says greetings from Crash Proof Ireland. Chris, Anthony Thomas. Oh, interesting. Anthony says that his landlord's just asked him if he'd like to buy the property he's renting. UK Clark Kent says, enough with the guff and that intro. Have you not noticed, guys? I have actually been deleting the intro once we finish the live stream. I've been chopping the intro off the lives. It's just there so that you can all be here when we start up in the evening. Steve, Pi May 26, who says, come on, man, where is the 20% dip I'm waiting for? Dip, Doc, Trop, Mr. Beats, Shirley Westwood, Richard Sims, Chaz Percival, Shady Shack, that's a new name. Hi, guys. Thank you very much for joining. It's always fun to have you here live. And to those of you who have a problem with my backwards-facing baseball cap, fuck you! Oh, dear. It's just better than my hair at the moment. So, this evening, we are here to talk about there's been just lots of news because the newspapers, they love to put these stories up because it gives everyone hope. And what I'm absolutely convinced about, Alex, after conversations today and a lot of things that I'm seeing, is that there are still far more, I mean, you've said this all along, but there are far more people who don't want house prices to fall than there are who do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And there's a lot of people who still have no idea, despite all of the headlines in the news and everything that's going on, have no real idea of what is likely to happen over the coming months.
I know. And that's like this sort of tsunami of underinformed people.
Yep.
What? It's fine. And one of the real problems, and this is this is me having a little wine, okay? I'm going to get my tiny violin out. But one of the problems of this growing audience that I've got, which is obviously awesome, is about 1% of the new followers. About every 100 new followers, you get one complete twat And you know, as my, you know, so for every 1,000, it's another 10.
But you're beating the averages there. 1 in 100. Jesus Christ, that's good going.
This is the point. I mean, I know that the overwhelming majority of the audience here is, they may not agree with what I'm saying, but they are decent, civilized human beings who know how to disagree constructively and positively. But there are some real twats, and I try as hard as I can to ignore them, and I do ignore them. But every day.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
James, Mr. Ridley, the housing market in the UK's last valuation, and bear in mind this was a year ago, was a little over 8.5 trillion. So not 1.2 trillion.
Is 1.2 trillion somebody's debt?
1.6 trillion in mortgage debt against housing residential property.
Yeah. I'm just going to pick up this. There's a comment here from Alex J. Charlie, a house in my area was on the market for 1.05 million last year, was reduced to 895, now is back on Rightmove for 725,000. Ouch. And I just want to make this point to everybody as well, especially also, by the way, welcome to all my new followers. If you are a new follower and this is your first live stream and you're here live, say hello. Just say hi. I'm new, first time here, first time live streamer. Because the thing that I'd love everyone to understand is that I call the housing market the market of a million anecdotes. Because no matter what's in the news, someone said, well, I know someone and they did this with their house. Like that's relevant to the whole market. And it just makes me want to smash my face against broken bricks. Every time I say, well, in my area, where I live, and then they don't say where they live. It's like the most useless comment ever. Oh, where I live, house prices have gone up in the last 5 months. That would be an interesting remark if you said, and this is where I live, and these are the houses I'm talking about. That's how much they were, and look how much they are, and actually back it up with some information to show us where you got it. Because I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I'm saying unless you actually put in where you live or your area, roughly at least, and where you've seen the house prices going up, you're talking bollocks. Okay, yeah. It's very, very frustrating and very tiresome. And sorry,
are we getting over the rants and talking about lifetime ISAs?
Let's go into it. Sorry, guys. I'm just, as you can tell, I'm not many fucks being given this evening. So, okay, let's get rid of that comment. Let's go back to what should be on the screen. I'm so sorry about talking with a mouthful. I'm such a thug. Where was it? Oh no, I've lost it now. I've lost the heading. Can you tap dance or something, Alex?
Are you having a bit of a mare? Is it all going horribly wrong?
It's been a long day.
Well, let's ask a question of everyone in the audience. Is everyone aware of what a lifetime ISA is?
Good question.
Because I got to tell you, as an old person who was never eligible for it when the scheme came out in 2017, I really had no clue until I started looking into it quite recently. It basically allows you to save up to £4,000 a year in an ISA. That could be cash, it could be stocks and shares. And the government at the end of each year will give you 25% of the amount you saved up to £1,000, which means that as you're eligible to do this from the age of 18 all the way through until the age of 50, you have to be under 40 to join, but they'll still match it up to 50. You can basically get 32 grand free. Now, you could laugh and say, well, you know, how many 18-year-olds have got 4 grand a year? That's true, but mummy and daddy can gift. The bank of mum and dad still existed and still does exist for some. And so, you know, you got 32 grand over the course of your time. Now, there are some very harsh penalties for removing money early unless it is to buy a house. And the big catch there is the house that you buy has to be worth less than 450,000, which is a bit sneaky if you live in London.
Well, hang on a second. So I've got this here. You're correct, but I've got a slight update for you here. The lifetime ISA, which, as you just said, it still exists, lets people use up to 450 grand,
But
Hunt
the
is
criticism,
looking increasing the property price cap on the existing mortgage price and potentially introducing. So what they do, everyone, and I'm sure you guys already know this already, is that no one is ever named with this. The newspapers all report a source told us. It has been said. Somebody thinks. And obviously, it's so routine how they do it. It's a little leak, drop it in the press, see what the reaction is. They just haven't even got the sort of courage of their convictions, what they can do. Shall we do this? Let's leak it, see what they say. Shall we do this? Let's leak it, see what they say. It's just spineless governing. Make a decision and fucking do it, rather than this teasing us. So the Lifetime ISA has been going since, didn't you say 2016?
20 said, so first of all, as Anthony Thomas is saying, there was a Help to Buy ISA. Now, it had some serious issues. It was capped at 250k. So they changed it. They rebranded it in 2017. You can still, up until 2019, you could still take out a Help to Buy ISA. But why the hell would you? You didn't get the money until you actually bought the property. So you got no interest or accrual from the investment. And the cap was 250k. So the people who took that out probably felt a bit aggrieved, but I think they could have switched. I'm sure they would have been allowed to switch into this new Lifetime ISA.
So let's do that. So the ISA is one of the three things that's being mooted. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just to finish up on the ISA quickly.
Yeah.
There was a request for information, FOI, was done quite recently, about 6 months ago. And to that point, I believe only 800,000 people had taken them out. Now, when you look at the population between 18 and 39, there's 15 million people. So that's less than 5% of people eligible to take out this ISA have taken it out. I don't know whether that's because they don't know about it, because they can't afford it. You know, there is no savings.
Yeah.
But it's been estimated that the vast majority of the money is actually being held for people who are the highest earners in the country. They're in the top percentiles of earners of that age group. So it's not really helping an awful lot of people who are, not already rich. But let's put it this way. So at the moment, it's costing the government, if everyone was to put in the £4,000 of the people that are taking it out, it would cost the government only 800 million a year, which, let's face it, is not a whole hell of a lot in the greater scheme of things. But if everybody who was eligible took it out, that would cost £15 billion a year. And bearing in mind that they have to keep paying it up until the age of 50, when you add that demographic in, you could potentially have an annual cost of £26 billion a year. Now, that's never going to happen. But what I'm saying is it's quite a dangerous scheme, because if more people take it up, you've got the existing cost of 800 mil, but that could rapidly increase to as much as 26 billion in the extreme, which would not happen. So we're talking a relatively large sum of money, and that's every single year the government have got to add that sum.
But do you think it's enough to move the needle on the housing market?
No, because again, some of the restrictions are because there's such a penalty if you want to take money out for any other reason than to buy a house, or you want to wait until you're 60 and then you can access it, without penalty. Before that, you've got to pay 25%. So basically what the government put in as your redemption fee. Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of people not taking it out for that reason. They don't want to tie up money because they don't believe they've got enough of it.
I mean, I find it an odd, it's such a sort of half-baked, we're thinking about, we might raise the cap and we might extend this and thinking about, okay, so they're tickling, they're just sort of teasing us with ideas. So that's one of the ideas. Now, the other one is, that everyone knows that this exists. I mean, I hope you did anyway. The mortgage guarantee scheme, and this is the first website. By the way, links to all of these pages I'm showing you are below in the description if you're watching on YouTube. So the mortgage guarantee scheme, which started, it was 2021. It started, yeah.
Yes. When interest rates started coming up, they went, "Oh Christ, we got to do something."
So they went. That's right. They said we're gonna offer a partial guarantee on mortgages with a 5% deposit until December 2022, so last December. And then they said, oh, actually, we're going to extend it. The mortgage guarantee scheme will be extended by a year to the end of December 2023, so 2 months from now, helping people with a 5% deposit on the property ladder. Now, I have quite a lot to say about this. 5% seems to be a sort of trigger number for me for various reasons. I'll come back to that. But this is what they're also, again, in this story on the Financial Times, looking at extending, considering extending, might mention it in the autumn statement. Here we are. The mortgage guarantee scheme was due to end in December, but may be extended.
It's all speculation because, they're playing their cards relatively close to the chest because they want to have a big hit when the statement is made that people are going to go, oh my God, let's vote for the Conservatives. This is fantastic. They've saved us.
Hey, thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. We'll both definitely have a drink. I actually was with Alex Groundwater, Stig, yesterday. More on that later.
Oh, thank you very much, Alex. I didn't notice that.
Thank you very much. Oopsie. Now, so this is something I wanted to say about this scheme and the 95% mortgage with a 5% deposit guaranteed by the government. Anyone buying a home, especially a first-time buyer who's kind of got that laser lock focus on home ownership at any cost, and takes out a 95% mortgage to buy a property now, is, I'm trying to be very measured and calm about this, is arguably doing so at when the risk of negative equity is at the highest it's been for a very long time. So there are some people for whom this is a good idea. And the two things you'd need, in my opinion, to qualify as being someone for whom this is a good idea is people who are absolutely as certain as it's possible to be that their job is secure and their income is secure and they are not going to lose their income, number one. And number two, you are not going to want to move in the next 10 years. And so the place you're looking at is somebody think, whatever happens in my life, I'm happy living in this place for at least the next 10 years. If both of those things are true, and you find a home that you'd love to live in, and you feel that you're not overpaying for it, then yes, using the government scheme to get yourself a 95% mortgage and buy that home that you're going to live in for at least 10 years, because there's no chance of you losing your job, then I would say, great. Thank you, government, for helping us get on the housing ladder. And to give you an idea of the numbers that are being used, the average number that's used this so far per month is 1,300 per month, which is, it's a small, I mean, it's sort of less than, what is it? It's less than 2% of total transactions, isn't it? 1,300 a month. Anyway, but this is the risk of buying it now. Are you still there, Alex?
Yeah.
The risk of using that 95% product now is that something unforeseen happens in your life and you need to move home. This is the first of two scenarios, right? You need to move home. Maybe it's for a job, maybe it's for family emergency, something, who knows what it is, right? But you need to move. If you pay market price today with a 95% mortgage for a home in a falling market where prices are falling right now, roughly at that level of the market, first time buyer level, okay, smaller falls at that level, but let's say 5% a year, you're going to be in negative equity a year from now and likely stay there for another 5 years, depending on how much you're paying off, how long the mortgage is, how fast you're paying it off. But you are likely to be stuck there for a minimum of 5 years, okay, if you buy now. So minimum, and likely possibly longer. So, I mean, it's not, hopefully it's not a mortgage, not an interest-only product. I don't think it is. But the other thing is this: if you were, and this is why I bang on about the economy so much and how careful, because again, people who have not experienced a proper recession before, they hear it, they hear talk of this thing that happened in the past, but they don't really take it seriously that I could lose my job. Yeah, that'll happen to other people. right? And if you lose your job with a 95% mortgage in a falling market, and you can't keep up your mortgage repayments, and you end up having that repossessed, and you end up losing it because you bought it, and you end up also owing the bank the debt after they've sold it for a loss, whatever the difference is between what you owe them and what they sold it for, they will come after you for, until and unless you go bankrupt. Those are life-changing bad scenarios. So be extremely careful, anyone thinking about using that, right? You've got to be, I mean, as close to certain as it is possible that you are not going to lose your job. Or if you did, you know you can get another job, even if there's a really bad recession. I'm not saying there's definitely going to be, but you definitely got to consider the possibility. Or the third option is you roll the dice and go, I'm prepared to risk losing it. I don't care. There are people who have that risk appetite and go,
you're back to that risk appetite thing again.
I'll roll the dice. You know, easy come, easy go. I'm prepared to risk my 5% deposit I've saved up now to have a home rather than be in a landlord's property where I'm wondering whether they're going to let me stay or not. For some people, the risk of losing that home, if it all goes to shit, is no worse than the landlord kicking them out when they don't want to be kicked out. So for some people, the risk is a risk worth taking. Like, yeah, I'll roll the dice. And if it goes bad, it goes bad. So that is what I want everyone to be aware of with this 95% product. Now, but the real point is it actually good? By extending it another year, what's it going to do? Well, extending it this year hasn't helped stop house prices falling, has it? So it's not going to change anything if they just extend it. It's not going to prop the market up.
Nope.
Now, the third thing, sorry, yeah, what were you going to say?
Well, Ashraf has asked a really scary question. My fixed-term mortgage expired. Should I wait for a while for the rate to come down and stay on variable? Ashraf, you've got to do the maths yourself. You know what your variable rate is. I'm guessing it's in excess of 7.5%, 8%. How many months do you want to wait? If you
Ashraf, you need to talk to your mortgage broker because the answer to that question is it depends entirely on all your personal circumstances, which we can't ask you here. So, I know what you're talking about is generic stuff, Alex, but let's just. I think the answer to questions like that must be nobody knows. There's no guarantee what's going to happen with interest rates.
No.
You roll the dice if you wait. Talk to your mortgage broker, and if you haven't got one, independent mortgage broker.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, we're going to be doing well. Look at this.
Ooh.
Someone called Tooth Talks Taste. 30 quid. Thank you very much. Yes,
that's fantastic. Thank you.
We will definitely drink.
You haven't seen Toby Maltby's reply. 30 quid won't get 2 drinks in London. Actually, Charlie, you've got a story about that from yesterday.
I have. Yes. Alex and I went out yesterday and I bought him a drink. And when the bill came, he really has a very, very special taste in fine wines. Ooh.
It was the cheapest Rioja on the menu. My God, I was kind to you.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure I can take much more of your kindness. So the lifetime ISA, they're thinking about extending it and raising the limit from 450. They're probably going to extend the mortgage guarantee scheme. I can't see why they wouldn't do that. It doesn't actually cost them anything until people start defaulting. And then that's going to be Labour's problem. Number 3 is, here we have this. There we have it, right? Is that there on the screen? No.
There you
go. That's how I would. Oh dear, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that. There we are. So Rishi Sunak plots tax and stamp duty cuts to win back voters after by-election. Drubbing. That's such a good word, drubbing.
It was a drubbing.
I don't understand why anyone thinks that this stamp duty cut would make much difference, because for first-time buyers, there is no stamp duty until £450,000 anyway. And the average first-time buyer price is well below that. So even if he did get rid of stamp duty...
I thought that was coming to an end. The whole stamp duty first-time buyer non-existing thing. Is that not ending?
I didn't know it was ending. If it is,
hold on.
You can look that up.
Yeah.
So the point is what I want to say, guys, is just very quick and easy on this, and then we can take some questions, is that it is my view that even if they do try to pull this out, I mean, it was such a bad idea last time. Look what it did to the market last time.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie. So currently it's set to end on March of 25. So what? Again, this is pure politics. What they're going to do is they'll extend it so that when the Labour government come in, they then have to say, well, we can't afford to do that. And then they'll look bad because they've taken away the thing that was going to be taken away in March of 25 anyway.
Yeah.
It's not to help people.
So is the government trying? I mean, these are all posturing for appearance. None of them are going to make a bit of difference to what's happening in the marketplace. So I just wanted to make sure that people don't think, oh, but it's okay because the government's bailout. They're going to stamp duty and they're going to do something with ISAs and they're going to guarantee everyone's mortgages and it's going to be fine. I mean, I can hear people saying that already, and it's not going to be fine. And as I don't know if you saw that post I put on X earlier today, you know, the sadness about these house price falls is that because, unless you and I are both very much mistaken about what's going to happen to the economy and jobs and wages, house prices are going to fall, and they're not going to fall as far at the lower levels where they need to as they are at the higher levels. But wages are going to fall as well, and so affordability is not going to improve as much as people think it's going to improve, even when the house prices do come down. Which leads me on to one last point, and then I want to take some questions. I've actually starred a couple of comments I want to come back to here. Yeah, Emma Anderson says, yeah, it's worth reminding people, if you go into negative equity, you can't remortgage. You'll go into the lender standard variable rate as a mortgage prisoner. There are, just to mess with all of your heads, even though I think what I think is going to happen with the housing market, there are certain people who could and should still buy now. Because I'm thinking about first-time buyers now, okay? First-time buyers who are wondering, should I buy, should I wait? Should I buy, should I wait? It is true that at the lower levels, the first-time buyer level of the market, the price falls are smaller, not just in pound terms, but also in percentage terms so far than they are at the higher, because I think downsizing is happening. Less demand for the more expensive properties, more demand for the cheaper properties as people are downsizing. So a lot of first-time buyers who've been patient waiting for prices to fall are not seeing the price falls that they want to. I still think you will see them in the next couple of years when the recession bites as hard and as deep as I'm expecting it to. I still think that even at the bottom end of the market, house prices will come down further than most people expect. Having said that, if you are considering buying and you're looking at a flat or a house, your first time home, and you're looking at it thinking, I could afford this now. I've got a mortgage in principle. It's a rate I can afford. I've got my deposit. I can make an offer that's going to accept it. I could afford to do this now. So should I do it or should I wait? The simple answer is this. If the falls you think might happen in the next year or two on that property are smaller than the rent you are paying or would be paying, then there's no point waiting. There's no point waiting. I mean, that's a very rough thing, and you've got to talk to your mortgage broker and all your personal circumstances and everything else, and also accept the fact you may not be able to sell for a while. But yeah, you know, if you can afford it, and you think where you're looking, prices at that level aren't going to go down much further, and waiting is costing you rent anyway, just don't overpay, but buy. Have a home. Because I tell you what, in rough times, having a home is nicer than anything. I've got something controversial to say.
There's a surprise.
And you didn't know what I'm going to say. And I was having a conversation with someone in the car on the way back from London today, on the phone. And I was talking about the fact that I think for people who are paying attention, most people are now aware of what's happening in the housing market. To the point that I don't know how much longer I need to go on banging my drum. And the people I'm most worried about now, remembering that my mission is a home for everyone, which obviously implicitly includes stopping people from losing their homes if they've got one, because that's just going backwards. That's getting further away from the situation I'd love to see. There are people now, I know they're being reported on, who are certain that they are not going to be able to afford their mortgage payment when their fixed rate ends. They don't want to sell, but think they may not have a choice, but also think that they can't sell even if they want to. And even if they do sell, they're not going to be able to afford to rent. So they're in a hideous lose position.
Oh, yeah.
So the controversial thing I'm going to say is that for those people who are in that situation and who are looking down the road, right, they're not there yet, but they can see it coming. There are things that you can do now that will improve your chances of not losing your house, that will improve your chances of keeping it, and that will buy you time that no one is telling you to do. These things are not illegal, but when I start saying them, I'm going to do some very careful research before I do say them. People are going to be shocked and horrified, and there's going to be outrage and outcry. You can't say that! You can't say that! And bottom line is, keeping your home and not becoming homeless ranks higher than almost every other priority there is. My view, right? And for those of you who agree with that, well, there are things that you can do that will buy you time that no one's telling you publicly. And I'm going to. So watch this space, because I want to put information out there, which is just what I would do. And then you can decide if you want to do it or not, right? But it's basically setting fire to what's expected of you. But it is completely legal. Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble.
You certainly are. I'm going to get the ethics police in.
But I know it's legal. I know it's legal. But I'm going to be told that this is the word, right? I'm going to be called irresponsible.
You will be called irresponsible. That said, what's more important, your family having a roof over its head or a bank getting money that they've lent you that never existed in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to get much more irresponsible than that. Because it's amazing. Like, if you've never been in the position before where you're facing financial Armageddon, like staring into the abyss, your debts are racking up, your credit cards are racking up, your bills are getting behind, and you just can't see a way out. It looks like an elephant-sized problem. It's an overwhelming, stressful problem that drives some people to take their own life. Right? That's how bad it is. But have you ever heard the expression, how do you eat an elephant?
A little bit at a time.
One bite at a time. And I'm going to basically share what those bites would be if I was in that situation. Oh.
Yeah, that will win you some friends and also give you quite a large number of enemies. But it's, as you say, these things are legal. Whether you are comfortable doing them,
Yes,
is entirely your own lookout and how you view the world and your place in it.
exactly. But if I help even one person keep their home who might otherwise have lost it, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm totally fine with being called as irresponsible as anyone's called. I mean, I would contest that I'm being irresponsible if I'm helping people keep their homes. Yeah, let's okay. Should we take some questions? Dave Onions, that's a new name. Hi, Dave, welcome. 1% is the going rate for twats, give or take. I learned this in the service industry in the 2010s. You can't appease or reason with them. Just quietly distance yourself and let them move on.
I still think you guys are very lucky for a 1% rate. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the other places I've worked. There were more than that.
Right, we have got some really good questions here. I'm just sort of flagging a few to then go through them. Have you seen any good questions you think we should pick up?
No, we dived in on a few of the ones that they did. Guys, the ones who are still talking about, or were a while ago, still talking about the overall value of the housing market in the UK, and it could be this, could be that. It's really simple. If the average house price is around, let's say, 295,000, and you've got 31 million properties, you'll find it comes out at about 9.5 trillion, roughly, give or take. But the normal thing that was said was it was somewhere between 8.5 and 10 trillion was the highest ever, which was in August of 22. They don't know exactly, because they don't know the exact price of every house, because they don't sell on a regular basis every single year. So it is always just an estimate.
Yeah. Okay. So I love some of these comments. I wish I could just read the live chat rather than have to talk. It's just so much fun happening there.
You don't want to talk to me anymore. This is horrendous, Charlie.
No, I just I wish I could do both. I really do. Yes. Okay. So, look, I've got lots of generous people tonight. We've been missed. Let's do £5 and ultra financial.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Super Chat. Oh, he wants us to answer the question. Oops. Okay. In an ultra financialized economy, there should be a way of making money hedging losses off a falling housing market.
Well, you could short funds, but I don't know of many residential funds. Yeah, there are. Of course, there are. You could short them, but it's a risk. I mean, all of these things are a big risk.
Oh my God! It's got 50 quid.
Okay, I'm counting all of this up, Charlie.
50, 30, 10. Yeah, we're getting on towards 100 quid. This is amazing. Thank you, guys. Honestly, big thank you.
And in answer to your question, Charlie and I have slightly different
views. We have to read out. So could you share your views on banking and government financial situation in terms of our savings in the bank? Is there a risk of Gov taking that money like has happened in other countries in the past? So you're talking about a bail-in, bank's bail-in. The risk of that, I think, is close to zero in the UK.
Yeah, correct. I mean, yes, they did it in Cyprus, and there have been other places where it has been done, but very rarely. But our banking system is not in as much trouble as certain other places in the world, including the US, not the big GSIBs, but the little Fed sort of banks. The ma and pa places, they've got troubles. The government doesn't need to reach into the banks and steal our savings. All it will need to do is raise taxes. They may bring in a wealth tax. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, at the moment they just uncapped bankers' bonuses again, or are talking about doing so. But no, not too big a worry.
Anthony Thomas says, at this rate, Alex is going to be able to get the next best glass of Rioja.
Oh, I have to answer that question from earlier. You said it was a Grand Reserva. I didn't know there was any other type of Rioja.
Okay. Right. So I've got some messages to go through here. And if I've missed any other super chats, could people shout and tell me? Okay. Kezia, hi there. Welcome back. Nice to have you. They will not permit it to happen.
She left you, Johnny.
We now know that Kezia is waiting to buy and wants prices to fall, but thinks that the government won't permit it. Like they can just go, no, we won't allow house prices to come down, and not going to let them. It's not that easy for them, actually. It really isn't. They can't just stop house prices falling.
Nope.
It takes, even if they decided to do so tomorrow, it takes quite a while for it to feed through into the system. Alex J says, a source said in journalism, it's usually the journalists themselves. My dad was a very well-known national newspaper journalist before he retired. I worked in journalism too back in the day. Cool.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Alex. I've seen it done at the FT.
Nick Jones. Hi, Charlie. Yes, thank you. So those of you who know about my website, Best Agent, the bestagent.property, bestagent.co.uk.property, where we're putting together, and I'm just going to show you this, guys, a house price index that I want to use to just show up how shonky the other ones are. And I'm not saying that this one's going to be absolutely perfect, not far from it. but it will be more transparent, and we will make the entire data set available. So we will provide the same level of transparency as the land registry does, except we won't be providing individual addresses. So that people can just look at it and you can see the difference in prices. So I'm working on that, but you can also find properties to rent and to buy, and you can book viewings online for them. But Nick says it can be difficult to search for a buyer. Yes, fully aware. I know about that. That's actually being worked on as we speak. There are improvements coming. It's totally not good enough yet. We're just finishing some other stuff, and when we get to the end of the sort of project we're on now, the next project is to make it super quick and easy for searching, booking viewings, and for registering and that kind of stuff.
I think it's fantastic when you finish it off, Charlie.
Well, thank you, mate. I mean, I genuinely think we're going to be able to provide a much better search experience for. So I'm very happy for all the tire kickers, all the sofa surfing property hunters that don't actually ever go out and view properties. They can stay on Rightmove. Stay there. That's cool. Best Agent is designed for serious movers who want to actually look at properties and want to transact. It's designed to sort of filter out time wasters on both the agent side and the mover side. I know everyone's always welcome to come and look, but in order to get the full functionality we're going to be offering there, which goes quite a lot beyond Rightmove, you need to be fully registered so that we know you are A, human being, B, you genuinely want to move, C, you're actually qualified and capable of moving, so that when you do inquire, you will get responses of a much higher quality and a much greater speed than you get from any of the other sites, because agents will know that buyer and tenant leads coming through Best Agent and seller leads are going to be, on average, considerably better quality than the tire kicking time wasters. Late at night, click a button on Rightmove, go on, inquire, ask for more details, ask for more details, ask for more details, which I know is what happens. Because the CRM systems that I have built and designed and provided, which automatically import those buyer inquiries from Rightmove into the CRM software, and you never hear from them again. Literally, it's astonishing.
I would like to draw your attention, Charlie, to a comment made at 224007, and just say thank you very much, Andy Stairs.
2240. Oh!
You are a star. That's definitely the ground reserver for me.
Very. Oh, you might have to come along and pay the bill in person. Come and join us for a drink. Where are Andy? Is it Andy? Andy Stes Lennox. Yeah. Where are you based? You're in London? Yeah, good super chats tonight. Absolutely right. There's so many good questions here. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can. Someone says, "How do I do a super chat, please?" It should just be on. If you're watching on YouTube, should be just underneath just down there. There should be a super chat.
Nathan M, just a quick one. Is it impossible to bring back the gold standard? I have little knowledge on the subject. Nathan, I mean, nothing is impossible, but it's not in the interests of most of the large countries in the world to bring back the gold standard. Too much of the gold has shifted around the world, and if we were to try and tag our currency to it these days, we can't go backwards. We will go forwards with a new technological solution. I'm not suggesting the dollar will remain the global reserve currency, though it has stood the test of time now for 52 years. I think its days are numbered, but how quickly that happens, who knows?
So Miranda Wells on Facebook asks, you previously stated that people are at risk of negative equity if they need to move within 5 to 8 years. Why is it now 10 years? Is it because of beer?
What's beer got to do with it?
I think because I'm exaggerating, because I actually haven't had any beer. I haven't had anything to drink. 95, I mean, the smaller your deposits, the longer you are likely to be in negative equity. Okay, so to me, 10 years is the minimum really safe. It might be less than that. It depends on, again, every single micro market around the country will move at different, it depends whether you are in a flat or a house. One of those two will go back up in price faster than the other. So, it's very, very, very rough and approximate. But my point is, to manage expectations, buying right now with a large mortgage and a small deposit, you should be going I know I'm not going to be able to move for at least 5 years. If it's better than that, great. I'm just saying be prepared. Don't buy without thinking about it, and then 3 years' time go, oh, let's move. Oh, why can't we move? Oh, we can't move. Oh, why can't I take that job then? Oh, that's my life opportunity missed. So that's why I'm saying that.
Have a look at the comments on 22, 42, 24.
Are we getting into a bidding scenario? 22, 42.
42, 24.
Angel A.
No. One above that.
Annie Anonymous.
No. Longinus.
I can't see it.
What services are the pairs commissioning? A night in a sex dungeon with Stig is my guess. They would not be paying. I promise you, they would not be paying a whole £99.99 for that. It would be much, much cheaper.
Sorry. Don't know I can see that. Now, can you stop distracting me? Let me get through the serious questions. Come on. Emma Anderson says, I can see councils paying mortgage interest literally cheaper than temporary housing. Well, there is, in fact, already a scheme in for people who are on universal credit to get their mortgage interest paid by the government if they find themselves unable to pay it. So, but you're right. It is cheaper than temporary housing. So temporary housing, Hastings Council was in the news last week saying that 1/3 of its entire budget is now going on paying for temporary accommodation for people that they are legally required to find accommodation.
It's frightening.
And as a result, that council is at risk of bankruptcy if it doesn't change. Alex J. The banks have enough fucking money, so I agree with what Stig just said. That's
yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. Someone called R on YouTube says, "Go Charlie, go to save people from losing their home." I mean, literally, even if what I was going to suggest wasn't legal, but you got to keep your home, I'd still be worth it, right? I mean, within reason, obviously. Change is coming. Says the banks will be after you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't like at all.
They need to change the laws first. I mean, it's the wonderful thing about this country is despite everything falling apart around our fucking ears, we do still have a fairly good set of legal precedents. Unless you're on HMRC, it's very hard to change them. Anyway.
Someone whose name I can't pronounce says, yes, you can. Just short the 10-year gilt. I assume that's an answer to how do you short the housing market.
Yeah.
Jonathan Groves says, say Labour wins a 1997 star majority. What then for the housing market? Well, we could talk about this for ages. I'm going to give a very short answer, and then Alex, if you can try and give a short, if you have an answer to this. It all depends, not on the policies they pick and choose, not on what they say they're going to do, but on whether or not a Keir Starmer Labour cabinet and government is more effective at actually getting stuff done than the Tories. And I don't know whether they will or they won't be at the moment, based on just looking at how they're working together. I don't feel like it's a really tight team there. So my hopes aren't high that they will deliver for the housing market. But if they did, fantastic. You know, all the things they said that they would do in their conference speeches were all good things, except for a new mortgage, like help to buy for first-time buyer guarantee type thing that they were talking about bringing in to give first-time buyers first refusal on new builds, because that will artificially prop prices up. But apart from that, everything else was pretty good. But the question I have about everything that they're saying is, everything they're saying has been said before, has been claimed before.
Yeah.
And yet every single government has failed to deliver on it. Every single government since the late 70s.
It doesn't matter whether it's transforming the NHS or building more housing or putting more social housing. And they say exactly the same thing every time. Never happens. It's short-termism. Again, nobody's willing to bite the bullet and take the pain that is required to do the right thing for a good 5 years. That's before you see a benefit to any of these policies, if they're enacted properly, as opposed to short term where they reward some people massively and absolutely destroy everyone else who's never getting on the ladder, for instance. It takes time to transform any transformation program, and that's kind of my job. You don't go in and instantly improve everything. There is always a period of change which is damaging to begin with, in order to restructure.
And there was very, very little in Labour's conference speeches to provide any short-term relief to the housing market. Very little. In fact, almost nothing that I could see.
No.
And so Mike Dennington asks, what do you think the government, either party, can reasonably do to solve the housing crisis? There's a long list of things, but the number one thing that they could do is rapidly build social housing in the places with the most acute shortage of affordable housing. Build it, own it, keep it, provide it. So it becomes government housing stock. And so that they don't have to rely on the private sector for the places suffering the most acutely from affordable housing. That to me is the number one thing they could do. And one of the immediate effects that would have, by the way, if they actually started building or announced where they're going to build and when, is it would actually bring prices in that area down. If it was going to be known that there's going to be a large new supply of houses there for people, it would have, it would help ease prices in that area if they targeted it well, and if they just bulldozed all of the time-consuming red tape.
Yeah,
and I really mean fucking set fire to it. And don't get on my cases about, oh well, it's irresponsible to not just to bypass all the regulations. No, some of the regulations are stupid. It's like you don't just blindly follow rules. You use your intelligence and common sense and local considerations and go, well, obviously we're going to make them safe. We're not just going to blindly say it's got to be by the book or you can't do it. That whole attitude of finger wagging. Oh no, you can't do that. That's not what the book said.
You've never worked with the planning department, have you?
Let's just move on. Because otherwise I'll say things I wish I hadn't. Fred Myers. Okay, I'll just take this because this is a very, very common question. Hi, Charlie. Hoping to buy a first house in London soon. Should I go for a 5-year or a 2-year mortgage? Fred, that depends entirely on what level of gambling you want. Is certainty of more value to you than potentially saving some money after 2 years? Like, what would you rather have? 50-50, it might cost you more or might cost you less in 2 years, or paying slightly more, but it's fixed. You know where you stand for 5 years. That's the answer to your question. Are you a gambler? Do you want to roll the dice? Don't get obsessed about small savings, because if you do the proper risk analysis of that, based on your finances and your ability to absorb it if it goes wrong, it's a false economy, as many people have found out who took out 2-year fixes when they wish they'd taken out 5-year fixes.
Yeah.
So my point is, it's a personal choice. I don't have an answer to that. Generally, it's a personal choice.
I'd quite like to take empty spaces question.
Where's that? What time
22,
is it?
22, 52, 59.
Oh my God, I'm way back. 52, 59. Empty space. Okay. Empty space says, where is the government going to get the money, brackets debt, at what interest rate and what rising cost of materials to build hundreds of thousands of homes? Can I just jump in very quickly with that? But the cost of materials isn't going to keep rising.
No, the cost of materials is already beginning to plateau and in some instances come down, certainly from where it was in 21. I mean, 21, we had real issues with cladding and timber. But you'll love this one, empty space. Given what the Conservatives have said, and there's no reason to believe that Labour will do any different, because, as you say, that there aren't many sources of income or cash, it's very likely that money will come from your pension fund. Because the government are looking to liberate money from people's pension funds And a lot of pension providers have actually signed up to this to invest in infrastructure for the country. So your money that was currently sitting safely in bonds and a little more unsafely in shares, depending on how far you are through your pension and pensionable age, is going to be taken out, invested into government projects. And the government is well known for running projects on time and on budget and going to provide a return to your pension provider. So there you go. That's a good chance where it'll come from.
Okay, lots of good questions here, and I'm sure I've missed lots as well because I just haven't had a. Someone says, "Hey Charlie, was that a mug of whiskey?" I wish actually.
Wish.
Questions. Hatterbez29 says, "Question: do you have to write question to ask a question?"
Yes, and you have to do it in uppercase as well.
Cyberview says you have to jump 3 times and spin counterclockwise once as well, though.
Yeah, that's true. All good points.
But serious question from Anshul. Question on YouTube: will the RACS surveyor take the current market into account? How accurate will their valuation be? Right. When the valuers do this, and if there are any valuers watching, please correct me if I'm wrong, right? But you don't look at, you're not, part of your job is not to assess what the market's going to do. You're not forecasting the price of that house. You're saying today, at this, whatever happening in the market up and up, today, this is the price of that house. And it might factor in the fact that there's a very weak market, and that therefore, because the market is falling, it's worth less today. But what they don't do is go, because we think the market's going to be 10% less in a year's time, we're going to put 10% off it now. They don't do that. And how accurate will the valuation be? Well, I mean, put it this way. If you've agreed to pay £250,000 for property with a mortgage, and the lender comes along and goes, no, it's worth 225, their valuation is going to be 100% accurate because that's what you'll end up paying for the property. Unless you decide to overpay, of course. Right. Guys. Oh
Nathan,
what do you got?
Nathan's got a good one. He says, materials will be cheaper, but if you pay tradesmen peanuts, you get monkeys and outrageous build quality. We want skilled jobs, but we don't want to pay for the skill. Nathan, part of the problem that we're in at the moment, although there are many causes, is the fact that for the last, certainly since the 80s, so 40 years, every single middle manager in the world has been set on driving down cost so they can maximize profit. And what that has done is we don't make so much mahogany furniture anymore. I'm going back a few centuries here. Everything is IKEA and disposable. And that is true of all aspects of our lives. Even if you were to take a Mercedes car, which Charlie and I were discussing yesterday, the build quality in the 80s was very different to the build quality in the 90s and 2000s. And you're quite right. Because we have been so focused on generating profit and profit for execs and profit for shareholders, we have driven down the quality of almost everything we have in our lives, from clothing to furniture to houses now, unfortunately.
Cookie Monster says, I'm
well, although you're not supposed to use mahogany anymore. That's a protected tree, but there we go.
Guys, I'm wrapping it up. I'm calling it. I saw that this would only be half an hour. She laughed in my face and she was right. Can I remind everybody that if you want to, if you're going out to buy and make offers, make sure you've got a mortgage in principle, your conveyancer lined up, and offer to buy a search pack on the day your offer's accepted. And remember, have a proof of deposit as well. If you don't have any of those things and you want them, you can get them here. And also, if you want to book time with me, I'm sorry, some of you booked time slots with me and I haven't got around to seeing you yet, but I will. You can book a 30-minute or one hour slot with me also here. Otherwise, have a great time. Remember, if you're buying, don't overpay. And if you're selling, don't overprice it. Otherwise, Alex, thank you very much again for another scintillating evening's chat. And everyone else, thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, guys. And don't forget, you can listen to it on audio podcast if you haven't got enough. But it's the end of this now. But next time, you can listen to it on audio podcast. Just look Moving Home with Charlie on wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.